morning, everybody. This is Zack with CNA Games. Today I have 6 card games that need to have their prices updated. We are going to go through. I'm going to show you guys the process that I use to update prices across each card game. This is going to be kind of a follow-up to the first video that I made about doing price updates with spreadsheet manipulation. Mic is low. Let's see if I can fix that. It probably doesn't help that my mic is pretty far away from. Maybe we can. Is that any better now? La 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 la. My mic actually sucks. Yeah, it is that I'm just too far. Well, I can fix that to some extent. I'm trying to do things the wrong way when I could just do it the right way. But my fancy mount doesn't want to work the way that I should have this set up working. But we can kind of force that. Alright, let's see. This more temporary. I got an awkward triple monitor setup. Okay. We're gonna get there. I think this should be fine. How's that sound? Is that too much? Okay, it looks like it's probably too much. I think we can probably turn it down. All right. Well, I'm gonna assume that this is okay. Audio Mixer's telling me that it's okay. So, I've got 3 card games across 2 stores that all need price updates. Before I do this, I did want to do one more thing a bit better. Alright, well, I think that's probably about as good as I can do. Okay, I need to share. I'm gonna post this in the TCGPlayer Pro Retailers group on Facebook. Okay. The one area that I wanted to, or one place that I wanted to get some people looking at this for the sake of showing it to the most relevant parties. Alright, so there's a low hum now. Oh gosh, I just can't win here. I need to get a new mic. Let's see. I have another mic somewhere, but I don't know where it is. Is it better or worse? Or now does it not work at all? That's what happens when I move this stupid mic around. This is the worst investment I've ever made. I'm gonna try to fix this. Hold on. Alright, we're gonna... Well, I have my son's Elite Gamer headset. We're gonna... Yeah, I've had this problem for a long time. We're gonna... Alright. I think we're good. My Elite Gamer headphones. How does this sound? There we go. Alright, well... Gotta open up the seller dashboard. And then we'll get started. Alright. So we have our seller dashboard here. This is where we're going to get to work. I have on my third, now very awkwardly... Okay, that's better. It'll do the job for now. On my leftmost monitor, I have these folders. These are my price update folders. This is going to be, this MTG price updater is the actual Excel spreadsheet that I use to automate the price updates after we have the appropriate previous and current file. This error previous file is the output from TCGPlayer for price updates that had errors, mostly, or actually almost entirely in the realm of prices being higher than their maximum for that card, and that is because we put placeholder prices. The correct thing to do in this case would be to go through this sheet. I'm actually going to delete this one, but we'll export the next one. We can go through that sheet and manually update the prices and then import that sheet after we've changed the prices those items, and then we should have no placeholder items or no placeholder prices in after that, but well, probably will, but they'll just have slipped through at that point. This is the folder structure that we're operating in. All right. We are gonna, I guess I could kind of try to structure this around. I'll just throw it up here. No, we don't need this. So you know this exists. This is the folder that we're operating out of, and anytime that I need to get into it, I will drag it over to our main window when we go to use it. So we're going to start this process by not doing orders. We're going to export a filtered CSV, and I always start with Magic because it's the biggest pain in the butt, because you cannot export the entire Magic inventory in one chunk. You have to split it up into two. I do that by selecting conditions near mint through moderately played first. We exclude listings with photos, and then now we wait. And this is going to be probably the most boring part of the live stream. Is you're going to see now how much we have to wait for each part of this process, because this usually takes a good 3 to 5 minutes if I remember correctly. So while we're waiting for this export to happen, if anybody has any questions about this process or anything really otherwise, but focus of this stream is going to be using this setup to run through, using the setup as an opportunity to show how this gets done 6 times. It gets annoying because you're doing the same thing over and over. Why can't you? So, John, the reason why you can't export the entirety of it is because it will error out if you try to export the whole thing. So we do, and this it may be different between exporting your own inventory and then exporting the entire, which this should answer your question, Castle. This is exporting the entirety of TCGPlayer's product database with pricing and everything, using the filter. So we typically, for every other card game, we're doing near mint through damaged, and it will take a while to export. Oh well, did it already happen? Wow, I'm actually surprised at how quick that happened. So we have our CSV. I've dropped CSV into my price update folder. My price update spreadsheet looks for a previous CSV, which will be the last price update's output CSV, and then today's input CSV we're going to rename to current. So, well, actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. We'll undo that change, undo rename, because we still have to export the other half. So all conditions to reset it, and then heavy play damage, exclude. But yes, the export of the entire TCGPlayer price database, if you try to do all the conditions, it errors out. I've tried to do it so many times over so many different days, and I've seen it happen once or twice, but for the amount of times that it fails and the amount of time that you have to wait for it to inevitably fail is enough for me to just go ahead and break it down. So that's why we're doing it this way. It sucks, but it's what we got to do. And again, for every other card game, we actually don't have to do that. I'm gonna move this camera where I can. I'm really bad at doing the, talking to the camera lens like I'm speaking to actual people. I need to get better about that in my Elite Gamer headset. Now the worst part about this setup is that the exporting of the CSVs takes a long time, and that's about the only part that takes a long time. Everything else is pretty fast. I do the same pricing you do, but I use a Python script and API updates to Shopify to update pricing. That sounds very interesting. I assumed in some capacity there was further automation that could be achieved to make this process even better, and we have been looking at how to effectively do price updates when you have binder when your inventory is on binder, and I would be delighted if you could share some additional insight into how your pricing mechanisms operate, but not pulling cards under 25 cents. That's how do you do that? API updates to Shopify. Don't pull cards under 25 cents. How do you that checkbox? Oh, if also select associated. Huh. Hmm. You know, basic reading goes a long way sometimes. We have our second output CSV. Because yeah, I don't really think I can just go ahead and pop open both of these. Yeah, I bet it does. I bet it does. That's I'm gonna have to figure out an implementation for that because yeah, that's all right. Now I don't care what happens for the rest of this stream. That was enough to make this process substantially better. I might even be able to try this with another card game to where if it's well we do price updates for everything that is 5 cents and higher because we have a quantity threshold, or we have quantity based price floors where if we have more than 40 of a card, it will go down to as low as a nickel. So but even within that, like just having any amount of price in there, if we're getting rid of 1 cent to 4 cent cards, that's still probably gonna get rid of a large portion of the TCG player inventory. So I'm gonna we have both of these. This is our near mint through moderate play. So I'm gonna do this the normal way for this one, since I've already got these spreadsheets downloaded. We need, okay, so there's that one, and then we need the one we just downloaded. Oh, it's over here. Okay. So I'm gonna control down goes to the bottom of the spreadsheet that contains data. I had to look that up after manually scrolling. We're gonna save this as our current CSV in the appropriate folder. Yeah, we're gonna, well, actually, since I can export the rest of, wow, man, I really don't even want to do price updates for those cards regardless. So even if I do check that, I'm still cutting out a bunch of fluff that's not going to get price updates regardless. That's interesting. I was worried that there would be value in running or doing this live stream, and already value has been acquired, and that value could have been acquired if I just read. Also select the associated value for the products you would like to include in the exported CSV. So if you uncheck do not compare, and then my current price value greater than 0.04, it's going to do everything a nickel and above. And that's going to thin out a lot of inventory. Well, I guess the only thing that would also do is not include anything that doesn't have a price, or does it include that stuff because there's not a price available. That would be and maybe that stuff, since it doesn't have pricing, I'm trying to figure out how this would affect our workflow. And right now you can see the price update sheet. It is doing the background queries, populating the formulas that we have over here based on the updated data from the new spreadsheets or from the new CSVs. So once this stuff finishes running, we'll be able to almost every card does. That's where I think I even have some, like our placeholder price only exists because we're dealing with cards that don't have a market price. So if this may even, if I'm interested to see what this does. We're gonna let this one run. One thing I like to do typically while this is running, I'll at least get my next one started. So for this, I'm doing all conditions with the exception of unopened, and whoops, I forgot one. Heavily played. Let's try this out. So my current price, my current price already has a price floor in place. TCG market price. Well, let's see. We want to include anything greater than or equal to 0.05 and exclude listings with photos. Let's see what this do. Yeah, I've wanted to get into which I assumed would be the next logical step would either be using like a SQL server or a Python script to I'm trying to explain this as a person who doesn't know pretty much anything about programming outside of making basic RuneScape botting scripts. Make something that can do this more in a more of an automated fashion. I think one of the biggest problems that we have, and which this might mitigate to some extent, is the amount of time that it takes to export CSVs manually. If there was a way to do that automatically, that'd be pretty nice. Have like a daily email of all of your CSV exports that you want. So we have our this is the spreadsheet after all of the queries have ran, and we're ready to download this as a CSV and drop it back into our TCGPlayer inventory. I leave this as the default file name. You could name it output, but you're going to end up renaming it again to previous after you rename the old previous file. So we're just going to save. OK. Here is our updated file. I rename all this stuff. I use yesterday's date for our old previous file. Let's go ahead and close this. We don't need it anymore. Yesterday's date for the old previous file, 10/8. Drop that into our month folder. And I keep all of my price updates across every month. So I have historical price data and changes that, you know, I would love to be able to figure out how to utilize. One thing that I've been thinking about trying to figure out a way is, and I think it's possible when you're aggregating and can reference this data over a broad enough period of time, is the implementation of a seller ranking for cards. So like things as stuff moves in and out of your inventory, you can kind of track velocity and apply a sales rank to a card in the same way. If you're familiar with Amazon, you everything that they have has an associated seller rank that they, you know, just let their sellers see. TCGPlayer, I'm talking to you. That you can use as a reference point to determine how much you want to prioritize that item. So things with a really low sales rank of like a, you know, sub 5,000 or something like that, that means it has a really high velocity. That means you list it, you're going to expect it to sell. Versus things with like a over 50,000 or over 100,000 seller rank, those have really low velocity. So you could, if you had that as a frame of reference, you can use that to determine how you prioritize what you list. And that's big. That is big, and it's honestly something that I think already does exist in the TCGPlayer backend that they're just deciding not to share. Why they decide not to share, or, you know, how they prioritize, you know, making that kind of implementation is, you know, that's over my head, but I do like that. That's probably one of my favorite things about Amazon is they share a lot of data with you, more than just the seller rank. They share a lot of data with you. So we are I can send you janky Python scripts, but logic is build database with Shopify variant ID. Might change this to SKU, TCGPlayer SKUs and price. Well, I would be interested. I'll go ahead and put my there's my email address. If you want to send that over to me, I would appreciate it. At least, you know, maybe this will manifest some form of inevitability where I need to kind of try to learn how to do this stuff a little better. Maybe I should learn how to do some scripting or programming, learn a language. It seems like Python, but we're not there yet. But either way, I appreciate it. So we have our current we've already renamed our Magic output CSV, or our previous CSV, and dropped it in its appropriate folder. We do not need current. This is the price output from TCGPlayer before we applied any formula modifiers. And then this is our actual import spreadsheet that we're going to rename to previous. And then we're going to import that spreadsheet into TCGPlayer. So before we do that, we have our Pokemon spreadsheet. I'm going to drop that in our Pokemon folder, rename that to current, and then we're going to try this with Yu-Gi-Oh too. You know, we're going to raw dog it. We're going to see what doing this, not looking at anything less than 5 cents how that's going to affect our price updates, because if it works the way that I would like for it to, then we have dramatically changed the way that we go about getting this data, and for the better, and then how we prioritize stuff, because anything less than 5 cents I really don't care about. So we have our parameters set correctly, export filtered CSV. After this CSV is done, we'll be able to import our Magic CSV. it's going to make for a lot less updates that we have to apply as well. So we're going to delete this one too. I don't need it. All right, so we have our Pokemon price updater, and you can see that the file size of current compared to previous is a good roughly 8,000 kilobytes smaller. So already the size of the file has shrunk by a reasonable amount. So we're going to open this. Let's see what kind of changes we're working with here. All right. Let the formulas do their thing. The queries run. I believe they're finished. All right, we got our full screen here. Let's see how. So already this spreadsheet should be ready to save. So we're just going to save the assumed working file before I go in and look at any dramatic changes. And then now that we have our CSV saved, we can go in and mess around, see what we're looking at in terms of slimming down this inventory or slimming down this export. So we have total quantity is going to be pretty much anything that has greater than 0. And then I also want to sort our, oh my gosh, there's no price update, or there's no placeholder price drop. So this automatically got rid of all of the cards that do not have a market price or that had a placeholder price, and now we can only see cards that had a drop in what we would assume to be a reasonable realm. This is one of the things that I like about the spreadsheet is that you can look at your price differences. So we have right now this is the multiplier drop, so this is going to be a reasonable drop because we have a Greninja that we're steadily dropping down to match the. Okay, so a direct low quantity came into stock that did not exist yesterday, and now that is the price that we're matching. So this is doing what it's supposed to do, which is good. And now on the other end, we have a few modest price increases, but other than that, this looks like it did what we wanted it to do. That's good. That's good. I'm willing to send this and see what happens. So we have this over. Well, I need to go ahead and change. Yeah, John. Maybe I'm being rushing, my appreciation. But if this does actually work the way that I want it to, I really appreciate you getting my eyes where they should have been a long time ago, because I could have been doing this for months now. So if this actually does what I want it to do, I am very happy to have been exposed to this. So we have our previous file. We're going to rename that to yesterday's date. Drop that in the appropriate folder. Delete current. Rename our output to previous. And now we have our Yugioh file. Bring over the Yugioh folder. We will get to try this with Magic once we go to do price updates for our other location. So did I drop that in? No, I did not. So we need to drop that right here. Current. So the reason why these are renamed previous and current, as per the video that I made, is so that the power queries know to look at those CSVs in order to reference the data that it's going to populate to the spreadsheet. We're going to delete this, and then we have our CSVs as we need them. We're going to open up the price updater spreadsheet. But while we're doing this, we can go ahead and do our first import. So we know magic is good to go. Import previous. Headers are not valid. What? Well, I didn't do anything different there. So let's see why headers are invalid, because they shouldn't be. Because nothing has changed from our normal setup. We're opening previous. I probably should have waited for this to finish, but I think it might actually already be finished. Oh, I see what we did. I see what we did. We saved this as the wrong file type. So we just need to file, save as, previous as a CSV. That's why it didn't work. This kind of stuff happens. So you just kind of have to take some time to try to understand why it happened. So with our Yugioh price updater, a lot of no price updates. We do have some changes. Again, this could be, we could go into seeing why or how the prices have changed after we download our output CSV or our input CSV. Save as CSV. And again, now that we have our input CSV, we can go ahead and look at what's going on here. Don't have a lot going on with Yugioh, as you can see. Most of a single item we have is 6. So we have our quantities set, smallest to largest. We can see our biggest drops, and then on the same side, see our biggest increases. So we dropped a card by $5.14, and that is, so there's no direct. It is using the lower of TCG low price with shipping, or old market or market price. So it's, in this case, it's using this. The base price becomes 72. So TCG low is 72. And then it is giving so yesterday's multiplier was a 1 times multiplier. That means that there was no multiplier added. 1 times a number is that number. So now the multiplier is 0.99. That means we're dropping the price of this card by 1% every time we do a price update. This is, so typically if there's no movement on a card, every time we do a price update, the price drops by 5%. And you can see in the formula up here, if W30 minus 0.05 is greater than 1, then you're going to drop it by 0.05. Otherwise, drop it by 0.01. So we drop it by 5% each time we do a price update, and we do price updates 3 times a week. So it takes about a week and a half for our premium to go away. Completely adjustable based on how you want to do it. Your premium, how long the premium lasts, how much the drops are, all customizable. And then once a card gets to having no multiplier, we're discounting that card by 1% until the quantity of that card moves to 0. That is how we inevitably move out of stale inventory otherwise. So we can, and again, this is another example of the spreadsheet telling the story of what's going on based on the formulas. And if we go to the other end, we can see where price increases happened, and they were mostly pretty modest. No substantial increases. Typically, a price increase is only going to happen when your modifier goes up. or if the price changes. So old multiplier was 1. This one actually went down, but what more than likely happened was the difference between, so 31.23 versus 31.76. We could try to figure out why this happened. So this price increased even though we had quantity, and total quantity is 1. So yesterday the price was 21. Today the price is 22.77. Why that price increased? That is low price with shipping. 23. That's strange. Alrighty, thank you. So I think the formula is doing what we want it to do, but yeah, I did. I saved the the NC MTG price updates now is a CSV and a, so we can actually delete this one, and this should be the correct one. I don't change file locations when I save, so if it was the wrong file, it would have saved it a different file location. But that one should be, since that was the correct data still, it should be good to import. But we are done with Yugioh. I'm comfortable with these numbers on both sides, so there's nothing to worry about here. We can start the process of, well, we have our MTG previous. That means the structure has been changed. File date of last month before we changed it to CSV. $10.9. Well, I'm pretty confident that we did save the previous file as a as a Excel spreadsheet versus a CSV. So I'm pretty confident, but just for the sake of making sure that oh no, I deleted the wrong file because I renamed the file. This is why it's good to have Google Drive. I can go in and change that. Let's see. Let me repopulate this real quick. TCG Hub. Restore. So now the reason why that file had that date was because that was actually our correct price update file that was just renamed to previous rather than so all of these folders are actually part of our Google Drive share drives. So when we delete something, it exists somewhere, but we have our spreadsheet back the way that we need it to. You can see right here. So this is, it's open in Excel, so let's close it. Try again. Okay. Now if we wanted to, we could, and you can see here, date modified, but that's just because we haven't saved that file until, we haven't saved that file since we've last edited the actual source spreadsheet since that date. So that's why but the data in there should still be current. So, and we'll be able to test that to some extent by just seeing what the number of changes looks like. We have our Yugioh file, and we can look at this too. Previous was 42,000 kilobytes, and current was 26,000 kilobytes. So that change in our price threshold cut this in almost half. So we're gonna again rename yesterday's date, drop it into October, delete current, rename to previous. Now we have our new cut location price update files all set correctly. and we can start the process of importing. So if I'm correct in my assumption, this one's going to have errors, but the other file that the other two games, their files probably won't have, either they won't have or they'll have a lot less price errors because that exclusion of the cards less than 5 cents will also exclude cards that don't have a price. So we got to let this update. I'm actually really excited to see how much this changes for Magic, because boy, does Magic have a lot of cards that are worth less than 5 cents. I am some amount of excited to see what actually happens here. Okay, so yeah, this, like I said, gonna have errors, and we could download these errors, but I'm honestly probably just gonna run this again on Friday with the new setup if it works, if we can see it working the way that we want to for the other card games, and I'll just let those prices figure themselves out. So we're going to ignore all errors and submit valid changes. And this is where it's good to know that you don't know how to do everything, because we have this system set up, and it's still, one simple statement was enough to be like, oh, well, we need to dramatically change this setup, and I think it's going to be for the better. I'm actually excited to see how much faster the upload process takes on cards or on the other card games, even though they tend to be faster anyway just because they're way smaller, but now they're going to be even smaller. I think it was by a third and close to half. Those are big numbers. Those are big numbers. This is another part where we're going to do some waiting. So what I would like to do is have, and I probably could do this if I just had a different Chrome window that was logged into our other account at the same time. Go ahead and start exporting the other files, but we'll do this sequentially. And I would normally check our direct reimbursement discrepancy rate, but we're not going to do that right now. Yeah, I'm expecting this to be substantially faster after we incorporate that less than 5 cent change. I think I'm trying to think about situations where this would change something one way or the other. I'm trying to think about like how our price floors work, and then things that we have quantity where the price doesn't change. And I guess the only time that would really matter is if market price increased to above 5 cents, where it's like, our floor is already set. This is not normal. 140 errors while saving updates. This was happening to me with, you know what? I think we're just going to start over. Do we have staged inventory? Well, I think we do have staged inventory. We're going to delete staged inventory. And we're going to try this again with Magic, doing the change that we saw, or that we just implemented. So we have our previous file. We're actually going to delete this just in case if this file is the problem. And then we're going to pull back out our October 8th one, which was our old previous, and we're going to change that to previous. So now we're going to export filtered CSV, all conditions except unopened, compare price, greater than or equal to 5 cents. Or I guess we could just say greater than 4 cents, but you know, it's all the same. TCG market price, and then exclude listings with photos. Let's see how much faster this is, and let's see if we can actually export this all in one chunk with the new filter that we have implemented. It's probably going to take a little bit still. My favorite part about this is just going to be seeing how much smaller the output file is, going from exporting everything to just exporting things that are greater than 5 cents or greater than or equal to 5 cents. Oh, it's done. Wow. Wow. That was fast. And it's not half, but it's a lot less. 53 from 89. That's 40, what, 46? 46,000, 36,000. 36,000 kilobytes smaller. That's a lot. That is a lot. So let's run this and see what happens. So not only was that was faster twice because I didn't have to export 2 CSVs. It should be faster on load because we're not going to be referencing so much data. And then it should also be faster on import because it has less data to update. So man, this is going to be a substantial time save. It's going to be a pretty substantial time save. Let the background queries run. So as we pretty much just rolled back all the way to before this video started, and we're using the price updates, our previous price update file, along with our now different CSV output from TCGPlayer to get rid of all cards that are less than 5 cents. So we're not updating the prices on those cards. And I'm not going to say yet that it's faster, but I can only assume that it will be faster. Oh, that's why I wasn't live. Okay, well, I think it's done. It seems like it's done. Let's download the CSV like it's done. Keep the file name. Okay. We have previous. We're naming that back to 10.8. Oh, we gotta October. I can't delete current yet. We're gonna, before we go and do anything else, we're gonna check our quantities and see what's happening here. Or check our actual inventory. Oh, blanks are gone. That's interesting too. That's another piece of data that no longer exists that used to, and I think that was just because we were looking at cards that didn't have prices. And then our price changes should still be what we noticed earlier. The biggest one's going to be, what was that card that we were looking at that had the biggest drop? Well, it's about to tell us. No, well, I don't actually remember looking at this. I think we just looked at the... What happened? I don't remember. Did we not look at this? I think we didn't look at this. Okay, so borderless poster, market price 312, TCG low 300. We have our multiplier that had the old marketplace price, put it at 370. That's because it had a 20% multiplier. We're dropping that multiplier by 5%, and now it's going to drop the price to 345. We're still higher, but we're on our way down. If a direct listing comes into stock, we either set that price by being the first direct seller to have that card eligible for sale, or we match the lowest price in order to sell that card through direct. So this is telling me that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. We have our cradle right here. Our cradle is dropping by 1%. It has now dropped 3% from no multiplier, so that it's a damaged cradle. We are consistently dropping the price of this card by 1% every time we do a price update. And at a certain point, it's going to sell. And 1%, it's pretty much 3% a week, if you want to say it that way, because it happens, but it happens 1% 3 times a week. So these are price updates that look good to me, honestly. Like I'm happy with how this looks. I think we can go ahead and drop it back into TCGPlayer and see what happens. But first, we need to finish our now we can import previous. This should be faster than previous because we're importing less data. And then the number of price changes that we'll be making will be less because there's less price changes to make because we're not looking at all those cheap cards. Oh man, this is big. This is big. Yeah, so many less and no errors. I will probably want to go in and look at cards that have strange prices to see. We'll probably still need to go in and change those, but this is just way faster. This is way faster, and it seems like it's working the way that I want it to. So I really can't complain. Like way faster. This is fast compared to how I was doing it. Still kind of slow, but you know, yeah. Typically, that's about how many price updates we 60 to 80,000 per update is what tends to be the case. Move to live, confirm move to live, and now our price update spreadsheet has modified our prices to make them what we want them to be, and we're importing them back in. So after this is done, we just need to do this 2 more times with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are the 3 games that we do spreadsheet price updates with. And then we'll get to do this all over again with our Middletown inventory. We'll take this and put this back over here. I'm very happy with this change so far. If something bad happens, well, I guess we'll have to... If a dramatic price change happened, we would see it in our price differences, and we're not seeing that. So the fear that something became dramatically different in price, kind of not a fear, because we didn't see that. We would see with the price difference formula, we would see if any kind of substantial drop happened, and if it's not in that spreadsheet, prices aren't getting updated. So about the worst that I can think of is that we're gonna see cards that still have placeholder prices, and they're going to maintain those old placeholder prices until we go in and manually change those prices. But then those prices are probably just going to stay that way until the card eventually sells. And that's, that's kind of what I was trying to think of earlier. Is like, okay, well, these cards with placeholder prices, how are they actually going to get touched when they don't have a market price to reference? And I guess one way you could do that would be to change, instead of using market price, you could use my current price, and that way it will take everything with a my current price of, but then that introduces another problem because my price is 5% or 5 cents on the floor in every situation. So that's going to pretty much just open back up the floodgates to include all of those things that we don't want to include. So I think we might just have to deal with this implication and figure out a way to keep tabs on the cards that don't have market prices to make sure that they're still getting some amount of attention. So our magic is done. It's already moved alive. We can verify that by searching for magic in stage, and there's nothing. So we're going to import to stage, do this all over again with Pokemon. And we're an hour in on this, and we only have, well, we don't even have one store finished, but no issues. Second time, no issues. Which I'm used to having them, so that even this is the issues that we were having, we can attribute directly to cards that were using placeholder prices. A small chunk. Pokemon's pretty small. And now Pokemon's finished, so we just need to go in and do the same thing again with Yu-Gi-Oh! This is happening faster, so this is good. No errors. I am also trying to think about how we're going to approach cards that I'm trying to think about how this because when we're doing pricing this way, we're not changing pricing on new input of cards. So when a card doesn't have a market price, the only way that we're going to be able to have that cards without market prices are not getting their prices updated. I'm gonna have to think about that. I don't see the problem as bad enough to not move forward with doing it this way, but I think there are implications to our setup by doing this method. So we are done with pricing updates for New Cut. We're going to sign out. I'm going to sign into our other location, off screen. And we're going to do this all over again. Magic, all conditions, because we can now. Exclude listings with photos. TCG market, greater than or equal to 0.05. Export filtered CSV. The speed of this setup, it is faster. Just getting some cleaning up on my Well, I need to find a new, and I know it's not the cable for my other microphone. I need to get a new microphone. That's unfortunate. Either that or I need to get a new, I don't think that it's my, I don't know what you call this, what is this called? Focusrite? I don't know, some box that I input my microphone and speakers into. I don't think it's that because the quality didn't change. Well, there's our finished CSV. Boy, that's fast. Dropped it into our price folder for Middletown. Open up our price updater. If anyone is interested in the specifics of these formulas, the description of this live stream should have the Google Sheet link. Yeah, it's a link. Google Sheet link that has the formulas along with the associated headers, that also gives an explanation for what each formula is doing if you are interested in understanding how these prices are being generated, or how these numbers are being generated. And then the previous and the current sheets of this spreadsheet are automatically updated through the use of Power Query to look at the, as we have it right here, to look for previous CSV and current CSV in this folder, and then auto update the data based on the contents of those CSVs. So that I think this is done, and oh no, it wasn't done. I think it is still faster though, and we'll be able to see it done by these numbers changing. Yes, it is faster. Definitely faster. And we're able to move around and work in here, so we can assume that the formulas are done updating, and we can again save as CSV, have our output file. Now if I was a smart boy, I'd be getting Pokemon done while we're doing this, or getting Pokemon ready to be done. We have our information here still set. Now I can go back in here. We've saved this file. We want to look at relevant data. Get rid of anything in total quantity that is, well, thank you, that is less than 1. And then once this updates, we can look, and we really don't even need to go in and look at this. We can see just here, these are all very modest price changes for the most part, so that tells me everything I need to know. We are done with magic. Pokemon is still finishing, but we can at least go in and start resetting our file structure. 10.8, drop it into October, delete current, and then make the output file rename previous. Yeah, this is quantifiably faster than how I was doing it previously, and whatever negative implications arise because of this, I am perfectly fine with dealing with, because this is just way faster. So we have we're getting our Pokemon sheet ready, current, previous CSVs, opening our price updater file, and while this is happening, while those are running, those formulas are running and the queries are running, we're going to finish up with getting Yu-Gi-Oh ready. Everything else is still the same. We have our conditions selected. We're going to export this file. This is already done.
quantity. There's no blank. Oh, there are blanks on this one. Okay. Zero and blanks. Why do we have blanks? Okay, we have our quantities filtered. And again, we can look here. No substantial price changes. Everything audio. Ah, what happened there? That's strange. La 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 la. Well, it says that I have audio. Okay, well, I'm gonna assume I have audio. Can someone tell me if I have audio? And while we're doing that, again, just for the sake of making sure that we are good, get rid of, oh wait, nope, not yet, not yet. Download our file first, Zach. Don't get ahead of ourselves. Okay. And then we have downloaded our file. We can go in and check our price differences. Sift by everything that is greater than 0, and look at these price drops. Changes. Very reasonable price changes. Nothing to think about. I'm not even gonna look into it. So don't save. We have our file structure set for Yugioh. Rename previous. Drop it in folder. Delete current. Rename input file to previous. So we have our 3 input files for the card games that we're going to be inputting back into TCGPlayer. Import to staged, MT magic, previous. It's going to be faster. It's going to be better. Should be, yep, I was about to say it should be right around here. There were no issues with the updates, which means that everything imported successfully. Yeah, the biggest thing that I can think of that I would consider a problem here is that we're not, for things that don't have a market price, we're not going to get regular price drops on those items. So I'm going to have to figure out something to accommodate that. Maybe to do something that is like a separate update on a less frequent interval that just looks at those specific items, but uh, I'm having trouble figuring out the right way to do it at that point. All right, Magic is way faster than before. Yeah, I think this is well, it's not gonna cut down. It might cut down about half the amount of time that I normally. I've got a good rhythm in place for this setup. Uh, that rhythm is going to change because now we're going to be using that compare price option. But for the amount of time that we're saving to do it, I am I am very comfortable with that. So we're pushing the price updates to live right now for Magic. And then we just have to do Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And we'll be good to go. So we are nearing the end of this. Once these price updates are finished, I'll probably use that as the opportunity to wrap up the stream. So if anybody does have any final questions, now would be the time to ask them. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed watching how we do our price updates. Previous Pokemon. I'm definitely happy that I did this live stream this morning now because my process just got a lot faster thanks to Mr. John. Thank you, John. I can only imagine how much faster it would be when you start removing cards with very low, or when you start removing higher thresholds, price thresholds, like a quarter or 10 cents even, things like that. Like you cut out so much of the actual inventory that way. All right, last file, Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're just about at the end, and now you can kind of see what our workflow looks like, along with the previous video that I made to kind of go into the nuts and bolts of how the formulas work and how we have our power queries set up and stuff like that. So if you have any further questions that either that video or this live stream didn't answer, feel free to reach out and we can see if we can figure out, any kind of specifics, or if you have any further input to better refine this process, more automation, anything like that, I'd be happy to see what you have for us. But yeah, just like that, we are at the end of, and you can see how much faster. I think we were an hour into doing new cuts inventory with, well, we had to go back and redo Magic, but we were an hour in on that, and I think we're like 15 minutes in on doing Middletown's price updates after implementing our new price update threshold. I'm pretty happy with that. So once this gives me the all clear, we're going to go ahead and call this a successful stream. Sometimes it likes to hang around here for a while. It's probably fine, honestly, at this point, but we'll let it tell us before we leave. I just, hang out with you guys a little bit longer before we go. I do have a delicious plate of yesterday's curry to eat after I'm done here. It's probably a little cold now, but I'll eat cold curry. I will happily eat some cold curry. Oh, I hate it when it does this. It always, it's not like a very frequent thing, but it happens enough to at least be mildly annoyed with it. Where it's just going to stay here, and then it's just going to pop up that it's finished randomly, or it will not do anything, and you just have to refresh your page and verify that you don't have any items in your staged inventory, which would mean that it was still successful. It just didn't show you that it was successful. Yeah, for how small this is and how fast everything else finished, we shouldn't be here right now. So I'm going to say that we can go ahead and just refresh this page. We can check for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Staged inventory. Oh gosh, it's thinking. Maybe there is staged inventory. Okay, it didn't move it to live. So we're just going to push it again. Why not? What do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? Apparently not a lot, because it's already done. So now our Yu-Gi-Oh! Inventory has been updated, and with that, that is the end of our live stream today. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions, suggestions, otherwise, feel free to reach out, let us know. Happy to take new information to help make our process better and hopefully make your guys' process better too. Outside of that, I appreciate everybody watching today's video. I guess I should at least go here. I do appreciate everybody watching today's video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. We will be at Collecticon Chicago this weekend, so if anybody is in the Chicago area or wants to find a way to make it out there, we'd be happy to talk shop with you, or otherwise, I'm sure you'll find a good number of ways to enjoy the convention as well. So come see us, come see Collecticon, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.